Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Happy to Health podcast with myself, Dan Hancock, the Mental Health PT, Danny Williams and Ben Lewis. This episode's a bit different to some other ones, so we're joined by Matt Griffiths and Skye Elizabeth. We talk all things bodybuilding, all things nutrition, and the effect that both of these currently have on the state of the fitness industry. Like I said, this episode is a bit different. We have a laugh, we have a bit of a carry on, but it's really good fun, as well as talking about some serious topics as well. So guys, really hope that you enjoy this episode.
So, welcome back to another episode of the Happy to Health podcast.
Hey.
We are joined by two very, very special guests today. We have Matt Griffiths and Skye Elizabeth. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for inviting us on.
Thanks for joining us.
Brilliant. I'm so excited for this. Guys, so let's introduce ourselves. So, Skye, tell us what you're all about.
What am I all about? Oh, I have to bring it closer.
Because if I did that, so we went on camera there.
Yeah.
2 to 3 inches away. Just think about whatever measurement will help for that.
This podcast has changed very quickly.
Yeah.
I thought this was a bit different.
So, my name's Skye. I am a nutritionist. So I'm a coach, and I've been a coach for 7 years now. I've been a nutritionist for 3, and I work specifically with females at the moment and helping women with their relationship with food, with their relationship with body image and exercise, and disordered eating, I guess, is a big part of what I do. And I guess that's one of the reasons I'm here.
Yes, love it. Love it. We work alongside Skye as well. So yeah, amazing to have you here. And Mac, tell everyone about you.
I didn't know you was a nutritionist, Skye.
Thanks, Mac. Cheers.
I did not know that.
What did you think I did? Don't even answer that, actually.
Okay, well, anyway, that's interesting. I did not know that. I'm Mac, obviously. I've been a fully qualified personal trainer for 10 years, going on 11. So at the minute, I've just launched online coaching platform to obviously help people with their body image, their nutrition, because obviously I can only give advice. I can't tell people what to eat like Skye. I can just give advice and be like, oh, well, if it was me, then maybe I'll do this because I've worked out what your body is, and you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to help people. I just want to make the world a better place. Make people happier.
We love that, Mac.
That's the first PT I've ever heard say, like, I can't give nutrition, like, I can't specifically give advice, I can only...
You can't.
Just straight off the bat, Skye, is that something that annoys you as...
It doesn't
Great
annoy
question.
me. That's a lie, it doesn't annoy me. It doesn't annoy me if it's good advice. It's generally not good advice, and it generally leaves people worse off than in a better place. And like Mac wants to help people, that's like kind of my ethos with coaching, is leave people better than you found them. And I find that PTs that give out meal plans and prescriptive advice are not leaving people better than they found them.
No, they're not. And I'll be the first to admit that used to be me. And like, I'd be like, oh, I advise you to eat this, but I'd do it in a way in which I knew worked for me, but people don't like to eat like that. So the way I do it now is more it's like, I don't demonize anything. And I stopped demonizing food maybe like 6 years ago, especially when it came to like sort of telling people, not telling people, but advising people on what to eat. I'd be like, oh, well, have a burger. Have this, have that.
I think we've all been there.
These are
Just some context as well. Like I can vouch for Mac here. What works for Mac definitely won't work for other people, because I've seen this man consume ridiculous amounts of food and actually just get better physically for it. Like he'll just eat chocolate and then ice cream and then whatever he wants. His body just gets better and better and better. And I know that doesn't work for 99% of people. He's an alien.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. I can eat like 4 McDonald's burgers and wake up lean. It's mad.
So, Skye, for anyone listening, so you mentioned about disordered eating there. Now, a lot of people in the fitness industry and people looking to exercise or improve their body composition, whatever, will be familiar with disordered eating, but then eating disorders as well. So can you tell everyone who's listening what the difference is between the two, and what is within a normal PT's remit, and then what is within your remit to help people with?
Yeah, cool. I guess we'll start with like eating disorders versus disordered eating, and it's a difficult one because there's quite a lot of crossover with both of them, and disordered eating can then develop into an eating disorder. But I guess the key difference is that you could probably function day to day with disordered eating, and maybe Mac, you can relate, because I know I've had disordered eating in the past. But when it starts to really impair your life and you're maybe not socializing, you're not functioning day to day, you're missing work, you're missing social events, that's when it's kind of becoming more of an eating disorder. And there's specific criteria for eating disorders, but disordered eating is probably more prevalent, and more people have got disordered eating than they have full-blown eating disorders. So that would be the key difference. And I think disordered eating covers like more broad ranges of behaviours, and it could just be like really weird things that people do that is just not normal. But then again, something that's disordered for one person might not be disordered for me. Like I can skip breakfast, it's not a disordered eating behaviour. Someone else can skip breakfast and skip meals, and it's the intention behind it. I think for me, sometimes I'm just skipping breakfast, I'm not hungry. Someone else is doing it because they're terrified of gaining weight. It's like, I'm not going to eat today because I've eaten too much yesterday. And I think that's the difference. It's the emotion that comes with it. So I think as a PT and a nutritionist, you can work with people with disordered eating. You have to just be aware of it. You have to be able to spot it. And it's almost like red flags, isn't it? Like what people do and the language that they use. With an eating disorder, you have to refer them out. They have to be working with a psychologist or a professional, a dietitian that specialises in that eating disorder. And you can work alongside that person as a trainer or a coach, but you shouldn't be trying to help someone overcome binge eating disorder or anorexia, because you might feed into it a little bit more without even meaning to. So.
I think the issue as well is that a lot of people just don't have a good relationship with food.
Yeah.
Or a normal relationship with food, but then everyone's relationship with food's different. So it is it can be a little bit of a minefield. Mac, when it comes to you and food, would you say that your relationship with food, because obviously you've come from like the bodybuilding world as well, would you say that it's, a good relationship with food at the moment, or where's?
I feel like overall my relationship with food is not great. I pretty much eat the same meals all the time, and they're very boring, but I can have a healthy relationship with food. It just depends on where I am in and what goals I'm trying to achieve. So like right now, I have a pretty healthy relationship with food. I'll eat what I want, when I want. I'll still weigh my food. But if I want to go out and have a steak at a restaurant, I'll have a steak. Because, it kind of ties in, and it usually says the grams of steak on the menu. So like, okay, cool.
I'll eat what I want as long as it's been weighed beforehand. Then I'll eat it.
But now I feel like when I prep, my relationship with food is really bad. Like, I hate food. I really hate it. I just feel like I get so bored of it, and every time it comes to eating food, I'm so like, this is a bigger task than training or doing anything else revolving around competing. Eating is so draining for me.
Yeah. So it's all dependent on then kind of, I guess, where you're at. But also, it's important to note for anyone listening that you've said that you know yourself, and it's listening to yourself and your body, and then knowing what to adapt in that situation, which I think a lot of people don't have the awareness to do. They'll be unaware of their habits in general. Sky?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you say, like, I eat the same things. Like, I think people have a really negative connotation with that. With, like, for me, for my clients, I'm like, if you eat the same things, that's okay. Like, it's okay to have routine and structure if you're not restricting things. If overall, you probably have quite a balanced diet, Mac, like, you're probably not nutrient deficient, and you probably get enough protein and things like that. Does it matter if you have the same meals day in, day out? If that's your routine, that's your routine.
No, I mean, like, to be fair, it makes my life so much easier. I don't have to worry about what I've got to shop. I literally have the same shopping list. I go and buy it, I cook it the same way, and it tastes the same. And I'm like, what if it's not broke, don't fix it.
And that's not always a bad thing. And I think, like you said, you don't then... If I was to say to you, Mac, let's go for dinner, you wouldn't be like, no, well, I can't go away from my routine. Like, you don't, and that would be like a red flag. I'd be like, whoa, that's weird.
I mean, if I had 4 weeks left on prep, then I'd be like, I'd be like, can I bring my own food?
I'm going to be out of a Tupperware, but you can have what you want, and then just watch me eating. Like, you're not going to leave that. You're not going to leave.
Do you know the key with that is smelling it?
You get hungry.
I've done that before. I've eaten my own food while smelling someone else's.
Oh, God.
It's like you can taste it. It's like
I was going to ask you actually, Mac, just bringing it back to the bodybuilding and the whole prep side of life, because you've been through that before and you have that experience. Are there things like the smelling someone else's food whilst eating your boring food?
Oh, 100%.
Are there things that you implemented that you utilised to get you through a prep? And do you think those things are healthy? Or are they actually a bit mad? And you actually think, as if I used to do that, that's crazy.
Please tell the story.
I'm not tell the story. They are a bit mental. Like, I have had my really boring meal and just had someone else's food where they've not finished it, and I've just smelt it while I ate mine.
Wow.
So, pretending you're eating that meal.
Because honestly, when you're doing that, your taste buds take over the smell and your food tastes nicer. But
Wow, I've never.
there are like darker sides to prep where sometimes you've just got to get your food in. And I have blended chicken and rice before. Like
Just
I
to
just
drink
really
it?
didn't
with
with water.
cold water.
Not even a
Oh, you
broth.
didn't even heat it up with a bit of vegetable stock or something. Made it like a,
So
could have been a nice cup of soup or something, but
it was still a cup of soup. I had
Just the cold one.
I had my chicken and rice. It was just plain white rice and plain dry chicken, no seasoning. I think I was maybe 3 weeks from stage, and I was struggling to eat it. I think I took 2 mouthfuls, and it was so dry. I was drinking water to get it down.
Wow.
And then I was like, right, I've got 20 minutes left of my lunch, and I was like, I need to eat this meal. So I was like,
Wow.
what can I do? And I walked into the kitchen to get more water. I seen the blender, and I don't know what happened. My body just took over, picked up my plate, I scooped it in, poured my water in, and blended it, poured it into a mug, and drank it like a soup.
You do
And
get
I
weird.
swear to God, my boss looked at me like I was psychotic. Like, he looked at me and he was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "It's
No.
just a soup." I was like, "It actually tastes better like this. It just tastes like soup." Because the blender heated it up a little bit. He was like, "You just put cold water onto hot food and blended it." I was like, "Yeah."
Did
It was
they
going
did,
down.
did they know that you were training for a competition at that point? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nobody
When-
ever asked me about food.
No.
Because they knew, like, during like work, I told them all about it and told them how like it can make me feel.
Yeah.
So they were like, when you're eating, we'll just leave you alone. So no one ever asked me. And then when he seen that, he thought, something's gone wrong. I need to ask him.
Something's not quite right.
Bring it back round to sort of the mental health standpoint. So, Mac, you've touched on there that you feel as if you're a totally different person when you're on prep, but also you've identified that like you're not like no one's putting a gun to your head and saying you need to go on prep. Like you do it because you want to. You want to compete. That's something that is fulfilling to you and you enjoy. But you have mentioned that it does have a detrimental effect on potentially your mental health, but temporarily.
Yeah.
Sky, what have you noticed when it's come to this? What sort of effect has getting yourself into that state? How has that affected your mental health in the past?
I think bodybuilding itself is obviously deeply rooted in the way that you look, and body image concerns and placing a lot of your worth on the way that you look, we know is really closely linked to disordered eating. So I just found that bodybuilding, focusing so much on the way that I looked and tying all my worth into that, coming out of that was really difficult because from a health standpoint, I had to gain weight. I lost my period, which is kind of a standard thing that happens when you get lean as a female, and I wanted to get that back. But no one's giving you positive reinforcement when you're getting fatter, basically. No one's like, oh, well done, you gained on the scale. Like, just no one says anything, and you're like, fuck.
I tell me. Honestly, ask Danny. Every time
comes
I
running
gain
down the
weight,
stairs in the morning. I'm 91.6. I'm up 600 grams.
honestly,
Yeah.
I buzz when I gain weight.
Yeah, but when you're, and I guess that's part of it because you are going through like the cyclical changes of like bulking and cutting, and that's quite exciting. But for me, like I'd kind of based all my worth around like being lean. I was like, no one's going to take me seriously as a coach if I'm not lean anymore. So that led to like body dysmorphia, and then because I was just in this cycle of like I need to gain weight but I want to stay lean, that was like binging, restricting. So I do find that people that go through really rigid dieting like that, which bodybuilding has to be rigid, it has to be like you can't flexible diet your way to stage. You can get to a point and then it's like you're blending your chicken and rice. Like my coach could have said to me, you're eating cardboard for a week, and I'd be like, cool, what sauce am I going to have on it? None? Cool. So yeah,
They're
I
called
think
rice cakes, I think, aren't they?
yeah. Fish and rice cake. So yeah, I think you need to be aware of that. And I think if I was to do it again, I've tried and failed many times, I would try and base some other focuses around it and not just on how I looked. It's hard to have performance goals because you train like shit, but just having some other metrics to go by rather than just simply, do I have a 6-pack? Yes, still got a 6-pack. Do I have an 8-pack? No, I've got an 8-pack. Like that kind of focus can really warp your perception of everything else.
That brings me to my next question, actually. I'd love to ask both of you, actually. Is there a way that you can see yourselves or maybe other competitors pursuing a whole prep and doing it in a way that isn't as extreme and as detrimental potentially to your not just your mental health but your overall health? Because we talk about the depths of a prep and the dark places in a prep, and it's you associate prepping for a contest like that is the connotations are always quite negative and quite, you have to be a bit mental, a bit psychotic. is there a way that you can get yourself into that same, elite top 1%, winning a competition, but doing it more sustainably and doing it a bit more safer, I'd say?
And also, just to add on quickly to Mac, would you say that when you are in that bit that you still then thrive on that then a little bit, having to then go through that struggle potentially?
I still thrive on it, even though when I know I feel crap, I still thrive on the fact that I'm improving, because I keep my goal in mind of why I'm doing it. Like, I do it for fun. Some people do it as a career. That's why a lot of people who do it as a career are, like, they find themselves quite, like, unhappy because they have to do it. That's how they make money. Whereas I do it because I want to do it.
Yeah.
So I enjoy the process and everything that comes with it, because it not only allows me to realize who I am in those low days, but it also allows me to realize how I get out of them. So it gives me that opportunity to be really low and know how to get out of it. So if the opportunity ever comes where I am like that for a non-training, non-diet reason, I know how to pull myself out.
Yeah, so it's almost like it's the experience. But sorry, I jumped on Danny's question there. So yeah, going forward, safe bodybuilding. Is it a thing? Is it a possibility?
Safe bodybuilding? I wouldn't really say so. I would say there's a to a point where it's okay. You can get to a certain point where it's safe and it's like everything's still healthy, but it's to get to the top 1%, you have to do things that people won't do. And it's like really restricting your diet and stuff like that, ensuring that you're still lifting, still kind of gaining some muscle tissue even in a deficit, and just really pushing yourself so the last bits of fat are coming off, because no one's healthy walking around at 7% body fat. No one's really like maintainable at that percentage of body fat.
Yeah,
it's just not.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I agree. I think like there's no way to make it like safe. I think if it was like safe and it didn't impact your mental health, everyone would be doing it.
Everyone would do it.
And they don't. I think for me, looking back on like my journey with it, and I now kind of work with girls coming out of that haven't really had support afterwards, and they're just kind of left by their prep coaches, and it's like, what the fuck do I do now? Excuse my French. I think for me, I would say, right, whatever you think, however long you think your prep's going to be, go longer.
Yeah.
I think give yourself enough time to have some diet breaks, some refeeds, especially from a female standpoint, because it is kind of a given that to get to the level of lean that you need to get to, you're going to lose your period. And the reason that you lose your periods is your body shuts down, basically, and it's a stress response. So it could be psychological stress that sometimes it happens. Obviously, a lot of pressure from bodybuilding. It can be under-eating. It can be over-exercising. You're going to have to do that to get that lean. That's going to happen. But I think if you give yourself a bit longer, there's less time of you doing that to yourself, and the less time that you lose your period for, the quicker it comes back. I think sometimes people go all in too quick, 2 hours of cardio a day, 1,200 calories, like 4 months out, and it's like, no fucking wonder you've lost your period. Like, give it more time and kind of start from the highest possible place, like minimal cardio, just doing steps, highest calories, and then bring yourself in that way. And then that can help psychologically if you've got more time to have a maintenance week and a refeed here and there, rather than going, right, fuck it, I'm going to jump on stage in 3 months. It's like, oh,
I think especially with girls, they need longer to prep. Like, if I'm prepping for a show, I'm giving myself at least 16 weeks.
Yeah.
Even though I know I can do it in 8. I'm giving myself 16 because I want to be able to go, oh, do you know what? I really want to just flip that a little bit, give myself a little bit of a diet break, go back to maintenance, feel good, and then come back down. But with females, like, obviously you have to eat a minimum of like 30% fats in order to maintain your period. And if you go below that, then that's when you lose your period. So with females dieting, they should definitely look at, if they're gonna step on stage, and they need to be doing it at least like I'd say give them a 6 months.
Yeah, definitely.
And do it really slow.
Yeah.
Give yourself time to have a diet break, have a refeed, stuff like that, because you don't want to be losing your period, because as you say, the longer it's gone, the longer it takes to come back.
It doesn't always happen, but it is quite common. But when it happened to me, it was just like, I was not told that. That was not a thing that was like, by the way, don't freak, you might lose your period a couple of months out, but afterwards we'll have a plan, it'll come back. Like, I lost it, and everyone's like, well, duh, look at you, you're like 49 kilos. Like, of course you've lost your period. And I was like, what do I do? Can I not have kids? Like, and that's another thing, I think, having like a clear exit plan. Everyone thinks of it like, right, prep 6 months.
Done.
Yeah, you need to be like, what the fuck's happening after the 6 months after that? Because I just got left. I didn't reverse diet, went on an all-inclusive holiday, gained loads of weight, and then I was just like, fuck.
Yeah.
What's happened? So again, like, thinking of it as like a year even. 6 months prep, 6 months to come out of that, and really letting people know like it's going to be difficult coming out of that, but the primary focus coming out of that prep is to get yourself ready to go into a good gaining phase, like, or to just get back to a healthy place. You're going to want to stay lean, but you can't.
Yeah, and that was going to be my question. Was it sounds like you've obviously, both of you have been on such a journey going into that world, coming through it, going through these cycles over and over again, and it sounds like you didn't really have anyone helping you at the start, and or if there was, they weren't helping you in a constructive way, that you've kind of been left to figure things out yourself almost. Do you feel like that's still a thing that happens, or are there more people now that are looking at things differently and educating people more and saying, you know, if you go through this, these are all the things that are going to happen to you? And I guess this is why you guys are looking to support people through it and say, I can help you through this. Do you think there is more of that happening now, or is it still a bit alien in the industry?
I think there's a lot of coaches that want to do that. They just don't know how.
Yeah.
So they've come into coaching and they're taking their everyday clients, and then someone has said to them, can you prep me for a show? And they've just ran with it and been like, I'm a prep coach. So you don't really know the ins and outs of coaching someone for a stage. And I feel like there's a lot of coaches out there that do that, and it's not because they're doing it wrong, like they are helping, but they don't know the flip side of it and how to get people to reverse that out of it, or the effects that come with being so low, and how to deal with somebody who's feeling like really shitting themselves because their calories are really low, they've got no energy, they can't lift as heavy as they used to, and they're like, why am I so weak, but I look good?
Yeah.
I think it's just a bit of like...
Yeah. And I think on the flip side of that, there's prep coaches that, unlike you, Mike, you're quite open to be like, yeah, my relationship with food can be fucked at times, and that can endear people to you because no one else is saying that. No prep coaches are going, yeah, you know what, you probably will suffer with your relationship with food. It probably will like impact you mentally, but I've been through it. I'm going to support you as best I can. That's what Mac's saying. Yeah. There isn't any coach out there saying that, because that's having to admit your weaknesses and your faults then, and you want everyone to think that your clients are thriving all the time, because that's going to get you more clients, whereas I think your approach is much better.
I'll tell you the truth.
Exactly.
But I'll tell you the stuff that you don't want to hear. Like, I'll tell you exactly
and
how
I wish someone had done that to me. If my coach had said, this is what I've been through, you're going to go through it, but I'm going to be there every step of the way, I would have been like, okay, cool, I feel prepared then.
Do you think possibly if you were prepared like that when you first started out with bodybuilding, and other people like yourselves looking to get on stage and do competitions, do you think if they was prepared as thoroughly as you kind of wish you was, do you think you'd see the same amount of people following through and actually getting on stage? Or do you think people actually maybe are getting on stage for the wrong reasons, or doing a prep for the wrong reasons? And if they knew the ins and outs of a prep and what happens afterwards, things like losing your period or the dark days when you're 2 to 4 weeks out, do you think that would probably put a lot of people off? And is that maybe why we see coaches not telling them the truth, because they want to get them to sign up and go through the plan?
Potentially.
I honestly think so, yeah. Like if people knew, people see,
because from the outside, sorry to interrupt you, from the outside looking in, I never want to do a prep. It sounds awful. like you haven't got to convince me.
Kind of like
you haven't got to convince me.
You gotta have some kind of like thing in your head that's like, nah, I'm gonna see this through. And obviously, me and Mac have that thing in our personality. There are loads of people that you'll see like, oh, I'm stepping on stage, and then they fall off the face of the earth, and they've got to that point where they're like, nah, not for me. So yeah,
it does get to a certain point during prep, and there's a fuck it stage. Everyone has it.
Blending chicken and rice.
It's either you either do that or you stop.
Yeah,
that's the point. It's that fuck it stage. You either start doing what you really needs to be done, or you just stop. And I think if people knew that stage and it was spoken to them, a lot of people would be like, oh, I don't want to do it then. I just want to have abs for summer.
I just want to add, by the way, I'm not like out here slating bodybuilding. Like I'm not.
No.
Anyone, but I'm not out here slating it. I think if you're in any sport or any profession, even if you want to get to the top 1% or even pointing, you've got to do things that are a bit crazy and a bit out of the ordinary. That's a given, right? And anything in elite sport, if you want to achieve the top, you probably do have to do things a bit outside of the norm. So I'm not out here slating bodybuilders or slating. For anyone listening, getting offended, or I'm not trying to trigger anybody listening to this.
Max, if he was, I was going to fight you.
Sorry, I still like to see it, but it makes me uncomfortable when I can see that it's not being done the right way. But like Max says, there is that fuck it point, and I've tried like 3 times to prep again since, and my head and my heart just not in it, and I've got to that point where I've gone, yeah, fuck it, nah. Now I'm good. Like, I am happy with my relationship with food at the minute, and that's more important than this. But sometimes it's like, no, actually, the process of going onto stage is what you thrive off, and you have to risk certain things for that. But I think if you've got a strong exit plan, you've got a coach that's really supporting you, like you can come out the other side of it like quite well.
And you can learn some life skills along the way. I think for me, one of the issues is that so traditionally the fitness industry was built on bodybuilders, and it was people doing that style of training, but then people coming to lose fat, or whatever the fitness goals, improve their lifestyle, they then take that approach. And I remember I was at a party years ago, and there was like, this is when I was really taking care of myself, and I was proud of my physique and body composition, all that type of stuff. And there was like some young lads like speaking to me, like, oh, when you stepping on stage? I was like, what? And they're like, well, yeah, surely you're stepping on stage. And I was like, no. And they're like, but you're like training. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, we're stepping on stage here. And it became like a thing for like young lads and young girls to go to the gym in order to prepare to step on stage. But they'd maybe even just started exercise, and they thought that that was the route to go down. So although people, we can argue, may benefit from it, how important is it for us as educators to potentially safeguard people, or to get people involved in exercise for the right reasons, to understand why they're even going to the gym in the first place?
All right, I'll go.
It's a great question.
I have to think about this one.
Leg balloon.
That was a very hard-hitting question.
Can you ask that question again? So how important is it for us?
How important is it to get people involved in exercise for the right reasons? Because a lot of people are going to come to the gym to exercise, go do it down that route without knowing it, thinking that's what exercise is, whereas it's just an element of exercise. So what responsibility do we have to, educate people on exercising for other reasons?
Well, I think anyone I speak to, I always find out what they enjoy doing. So like most people who come to the gym want to look good. They want to lose a bit of weight, or they want to gain a bit of weight, and they want to perform better, and then they want to feel good in themselves. Now, I try and relate that to, what do you enjoy doing on the outside? Say a sport. Okay, so you enjoy doing football, so let's base some of your exercises around what you enjoy doing. Because then it takes that person away from going, oh, I need to lift like a bodybuilder and get on stage in order to look good and then perform well in my sport. No, we do sport-specific exercises which will make you look good, feel good, and perform better on the field. And that way you're enjoying training and you're enjoying your sport. And it's like you don't even have to look at the bodybuilding side of things. I feel like with certain people who come to the gym with the idea of, I'm going to get on stage, I tell everyone exactly like how I felt on stage. Like, I might have looked big on stage and I looked great, but I've never been so weak in my life.
It's an illusion.
Never been so weak in my life.
Is.
And also, I think a lot of people actually start the gym without realizing that if they keep up their actions, that they're going to end up in a position where their friends and peers, or like you said, Dan, you're at a party and someone says, oh, when are you going to step on stage? That might have never even been their intention. But their just default training regime is bodybuilding exercises, back and buys, chest and tries, leg day. And before you know it, if you keep that up for 2 to 3 years, or however long it might take you to build muscle, you're going to end up in a position where people just expect you to be a bodybuilder. And actually, there's so many different other forms of exercise. Like you said, you can be a footballer and do strength and conditioning around football. You could be a basketballer, anything, or any sport. And I think you mentioned about, well, you didn't say this exactly, but you talked about intrinsic motivation, which is what we talk about a lot. You said you do it because you enjoy it. And I think if that underpins the reason why you're exercising in the first place, you're going to be able to create a sustainable training plan. And
that's it. It's
that
just
should be what
bringing the awareness to why you're doing it. And I think, again, like for us, it's being aware of those red flags. And like if someone's, got really crushing self-esteem and really bad body image, do you want to push them into bodybuilding where it's potentially going to get worse? I think that's our job there, to be like, is this really the reason why you want to be here?
Yeah, you just got to be asking the right questions, getting the right why out of them, because a lot of people lie.
Yeah.
People lie. That is it. Straightforward. Like, people lie. You ask them why they come to the gym. Oh, literally. I just want to get healthy, and realistically, they're fighting their own little demons, and they say, I want to get on stage because of this, and then you ask them again, and their answer changes a little bit. So,
And I guess a question following on from that is finding out the real why. Do you think when you guys first started out as personal trainers, you were given enough training to actually get to the bottom of what that real why and put you in the best position in order to help those clients?
No.
For me, no. I did my personal training course like 10, 11 years ago, and I swear to God, I didn't take a client for the first year I was at a gym. I refused to teach anyone, like coach anybody. I worked with 2 other personal trainers to help me be a better personal trainer.
I think most people do that, don't they? They like they kind of get taken under someone else's wing who is, you know, seemingly successful or is more successful than them. But it is very much just based on, okay, you've got someone that wants to gain muscle, someone that wants to get better at endurance, someone that wants fat loss, and it's all that kind of training. It's not like someone needs to be fitter to take care of their family. Someone just wants to live longer. Someone suffering with anxiety and wants to build a bit of, you know, competence and confidence. They don't delve into that. We've had this conversation before. Let's take MPEC and put it to level 3.
We have this conversation every day. So, plug. So going back a little bit more then on a serious note, so I want to ask you a question, Sky, but I also want you to back it up with something. So what are potentially 3 warning signs, or a couple of different warning signs of disordered eating, but also not then to just put this out there because we don't want anyone potentially worrying about it. If anyone then listening to this feels as if they can identify with that, what would you recommend that they do?
Well, that's a really tough question because there's so many different aspects of disordered eating. I guess fixating on food's one. Yeah. If you are consistently thinking about food to the point where it's a bit stressful and it's causing anxiety, you know, if someone says, do you want to go out food, and you're instantly like, oh, I don't really know the macros or the calories of what I'm going to eat though. I'm not really sure. Like, that could potentially be disordered eating.
For someone who's not on prep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Another form, like it's not eating, but again, it's like the same thing towards exercise. If you see exercise as a means to kind of control your body weight, and, you know, if you eat something then think, I've got to go and do this now to counteract that can be a disordered behaviour. And again, if you miss a training session, like severe anxiety, if you'd rather go to the gym because of the anxiety you'd feel for missing that session than rather go and spend time with your family and friends, that's a red flag. Restricting certain food groups, restricting your overall food intake, that can be quite disordered. It's so broad, it can be different for everyone. But
what about guilt for eating? Would that be one? Feeling guilty when you eat
and that's it. And if you feel like there has to be a compensatory behaviour for that, that's probably quite disordered. Like, you should never eat something and then think, right, now I need to skip breakfast, or right, now I'm probably going to have to do another hour of cardio tomorrow. That's when it's not a healthy behaviour to have, or a healthy thought pattern to have. It's difficult, like you said earlier, Dan. Everyone's got a relationship with food. It depends on the mindset that you bring to the plate. That's what it takes, whether it's good or bad. What emotion are you bringing to that meal? What emotion are you bringing to whatever you're eating? That's what makes it a good relationship or a bad relationship, and that might change over time. I think if you feel like that's you, education is the best thing. Like, I had an hour and a half conversation with a client today, and she came to me with like completely terrible relationship with food, terrible body image. She comes from a slimming club. So she's just used to consistently weighing herself, guilt for eating certain foods. So we've actually had like a ton of conversations, and she stopped actively dieting, and she just needs to work on her relationship with food. And sometimes you can do both, but most times you can't. You have to give up on weighing yourself all the time and trying to control your body weight, and just get back to eating foods normally and not having that instilled guilt, and it being a trigger, getting used to eating chocolate on a Wednesday, not just on a Saturday night when you binge. So yeah, I think if you're feeling like that's something you're doing at the minute, try and move away from thinking about dieting, or try and have a more of a health focus or a performance focus. And just being aware of, you know, your own triggers and behaviours that feed into it. Like, we have behaviours that will keep us in a place. We need to identify that. If weighing yourself every day makes you then go and restrict food, stop weighing yourself. Things like that. I think knowing what triggers you. If going on social media makes you then go and start measuring yourself and picking at your body parts, and then again going and exercising in compensation, spend less time on social media. Yeah. I think there's the awareness. You have to bring awareness to your actions first.
Yeah. Brilliant advice. And then to go slightly away from the nutrition side of things, let's talk about exercise. So, Mac, you will openly say that exercise is like a form of therapy for you. So tell us about, what does exercise mean to you? Why do you exercise?
To me, exercise is an escape. It's something I enjoy doing, and it's mine. Like, in that time and that I'm in the gym, I can spend anywhere from an hour to 3 or 4 hours in the gym at times. Like, if I want to have a very long session, I will drag my session out for so long. Because I enjoy.
Not the best if you're his training partner.
Are we done yet, Mac? No, just another 2 hours.
That's why I tend to train alone. Most of the time I'll train alone, because it's just me time, and no matter what's going on in my life, I feel like once I walk through the gym door and my headphones are in, nothing gets in the way. All I have to worry about is lifting weights and not dying under the weight. So like, for me to feel my muscles like kind of tearing apart, ready to be rebuilt, I feel like that repair and rebuild also repairs and rebuilds anything going on inside of me.
I love that.
That's very powerful.
Mark, mic drop.
That's a trailer sorted.
So when that happens, like if I like some mornings I'll wake up and I'll feel really anxious for no reason. Like if I get woken up, I feel really anxious because it's like back in my old job mind where I'm late for a fire or something. So it's like instant go. Sometimes I wake up feeling like that, and when I go to the gym, it's like it just goes. So if I feel sad, I go to the gym. If I feel happy, I go to the gym. If I feel angry, I go to the gym. I feel like it just calms me down, and it's a good way for me to release everything. Because like I said, once that starts ripping and repairing, everything else starts repairing inside as well.
Brilliant.
Love
Absolutely
that.
love that.
Very
Sky,
powerful.
try and top that for us, please.
I'll just see myself out, yeah? So we'll talk about exercise.
Yes.
Repeat the question because you've directed it at Max.
So yeah, what does exercise mean to you? How much of it is of a staple is your day, or why do you exercise right now?
Oh,
Why do you
cool.
currently
Okay, that's a
exercise?
good question. Yeah, I think for me it was aesthetic reasons to begin with, and it completely made me fall out of love with training. And I think I took like a good period of time off because I was like, this is fucking shit. Like, and when you don't have an aesthetic goal of bodybuilding at the end, and you're going in to train shoulders and glutes, I'm like, I don't care about my shoulders and glutes, and I couldn't pin it to like my mental health. It was just like I was so conditioned to be doing like this split or that split to work on this body part. So for me now it's more about skills, which kind of is like you might like. For me, learning a new skill, it's like I'm overcoming stuff and I'm like learning, I'm getting better. It's like going on a course people like to learn and feed their brain. Like I like to go and be able to do, you know, handstand push-up and things like that. So for me it's more performance based now, and now obviously started jiu-jitsu. That's even better because it's like sports and I'm getting judged on skill, not getting judged on what I look like on the mat. It's like I got my ass handed to me at the weekend and I was like, this is great. Like she was better than me, I can take that. Like when it's bodybuilding, it's like, no, I actually think my legs are better. It's a totally different like environment to be in. So yeah, for me it's more skill based, and then, you know, the feeling that you get from learning new skills is totally transferable.
Yeah, and it must be really hard turning up to an event and find that you're fighting against yourself.
Did you see that made me into a meme? Yeah, and I was like, she's like, I actually was like, honestly, got made into a meme. And I was like, she's the same size as me, this will be good. She absolutely annihilated me, I'm not even joking. I was like, oh my God, she's a genuine ninja. But it was good, it's a humbling thing. Like that is, to me, I thrive in that now. Like, am I going to kill or be killed? Who knows? I got killed this time. Next time I might kill.
How important was that experience for you then? Because obviously we read your post, you know, we spoke to you about it. You went, you got beaten, if you want to call it that, but you didn't see that as a defeat in any way whatsoever. The first thing you did is now thinking, right, what's the next one? So how important was that quote unquote defeat for you to then go and move forward?
Yeah. It was good. I went in there with no expectations, like, and everyone says that I didn't expect. I really didn't have any expectations. It was literally, I just want to get this first competition out of the way because of like the way that I am. And Mac, have you got ADHD as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's either I'm like completely in the moment and focused, or I'm completely frozen and I'm like, oh my God, there's a million things in my head and I don't know what I'm doing. And a few times in training, I've been in that moment where I'm like, what's next? And I didn't know if I was going to get that in competition, where I was going to step on the mat, be in front of me, like, oh, what do I do now? But it didn't. It went the other way. And that's what I was wanting to experience, was how would I feel with a crowd of people around me, watching me, against someone I've never seen or met before. I don't know how good she is, how bad she is. She's fucking good. And how would I react in that situation? Would the nerves get the better of me? And they didn't. Like, I was totally focused and I was like, right, I've got a game plan. She had a better one. So it was a good experience in that sense. And yeah, it was like everything I'd drilled in training I did, she was just simply better than me. So I came away from it like, yeah, that's a good loss for me. And she went on to win gold. So I was like, I lost to gold. I'll take that.
Yeah, love that. That's so powerful. I think we talk a lot about redefining what it means to exercise, especially considering how the industry was built on bodybuilding and a very aesthetic, physical appearance driven goal. And it's empowering and inspiring to hear how you've come from a place of, you started off very physical appearance goals to now you're at a place where you're exercising to learn new skills, to build relationships, to become more powerful, not just in a gym, but outside the gym. I guess the question I've got for you is, where do you see your relationship with fitness going, and how do you see your relationship and journey with this new skill you've learned? How do you see that going to? Do you want to do more competitions? Do you see yourself doing it more in the future? Is it onto the next sport, onto the next thing you're going to throw yourself into? I want to hear more about it.
No, so I had this conversation with someone the other day, and I think like I do like CrossFit style training now. Sometimes I'll go in and do my own thing, but I like sometimes just turning up and being told what to do. I think from having years and years of having so much structure, and then also I still program from the people, I just can't be asked to think of my own training sometimes. I was going to be really aggressive with that. I just can't be fucked. So for me, sometimes just turn up being told what to do, and then there's other people in the class, so you can't really sandbag. You're like, I look like a bit of a tosser if I just like don't do the reps. And for me, it's very similar to Mac. It's just like I like going and putting myself through that and coming out of it thinking, endorphins, I'm feeling good. I'm like, yeah, I've got my training done. Sometimes I'll train 3 times a week. Sometimes I'll train 6. Like, I don't have a set expectation of myself. I just want to be fit, strong and healthy. And I had a conversation with someone the other day about jiu-jitsu, and they were like, you know what, if you can do it, do it. Like, why not do as much as you can in an able body as long as you can? Because if you get to 70 and all you've done is train in the gym all your life, like, for some people that's great. You've got bodybuilding alongside that. Like, you can look back and go, I fucking smashed bodybuilding. But if I'm just turning up to the gym every day, for me it's just a bit like, yeah, cool, I did that for my health. But I think being involved in a sport is something else. So yeah, I am going to compete again in January, so I'll let you know if I kill or be killed.
Very exciting.
Nice one. What about you, Mac? What's next for you in the fitness world? So you mentioned obviously you're a trainer. There's Amplify coming up as well. What exciting things have you got lined up?
Well, I'm getting back on stage again. Probably like June or July, but I've just started Krav Maga.
Oh yeah, of course, you've been there today.
Yeah, because
I want to hear about this.
Rearrange the podcast for Krav Maga. That's fine.
Listen, like
I'm here for it. I was like, yeah, that's fine. If he needs to be
I
there.
was invited to this, and I want to hear, did I take the wise decision in not going to this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you tell us what it is? I'm really interested.
It's more about self-defense, but you can like go through rankings in it, especially if you've got a good coach. Like, so it's like it's a little bit like kickboxing kind of thing. So you're boxing and you're kicking.
Nice.
But my shin hurts because I've got a bruise on my shin from where Chris has kneed me in the shin. But it's one of those things that you just get bruises and stuff. But it's really fun, and you sweat loads, and it's like learning new skills about how to like disarm somebody if like someone tries to hit you with a bottle. Like, I can disarm someone and I feel like sick doing it.
It's like positive aggression.
It's like
looks
Ross.
cool.
But it's like in Friends.
It's
It's
more about like just protecting yourself than hurting someone else. So you always want to take the calmer route and stop someone hitting you than aggressively stopping them. You calmly stop them. But like with the other skills that you learn in the gym, like I started doing handstands and stuff just for fun. And then trying to do muscle ups on rings just because I was like, I've never really done one, and then tried it and done it. I was like, oh, it's just sick.
Get that on Instagram quick.
So,
it is good though. That feeling is good of like trying new things.
And people always think because like, I just lift to get on stage that I can't move. And I mean, I can't really move, but
I mean, it depends on what stage of prep you're in.
Yeah, not really. Move.
So you
like,
come see me in off
hard.
season, I'm doing muscle ups.
It's hard, like, but I'd just like to push my body to new levels, and obviously, I just want to help other people do the same thing.
Yeah, that's cool. So, a couple more questions. We have got a challenge for you. Where we finish off every podcast with a challenge. We've not told you about it yet.
Sorry, what?
But
Max eyes started flickering on
Before we do, I've got a couple of questions I'd like to ask both of you. So Mac, I'll ask you first, and then Sky will go to you. So Mac, first one, what is something exciting that's happening in your life right now? Could be professionally, it could be personally.
What's something exciting that's happening in my life? I mean, I found everything pretty exciting for me, to be honest. Like,
Love that. That's a really good answer. Yeah.
I feel like no matter what I'm doing, I enjoy it because it's what I want to do. So I found everything pretty exciting. So like, I'm dead involved with all my projects at the minute. and it's tiring, but I've got to do it. Like, no one else is going to do it for me. So I feel like it kind of gets me up in the morning, and sometimes I'll, like last night, I think I slept like 3 hours. But
Just excited.
But like getting up in the morning, I was like, oh, I'm knackered. But I knew I had to go and coach and then go shoot something else. And it was just like, okay, I'm actually all right. I'll get a coffee with me at some point.
Same question to you, Sky.
Yeah, I guess this is like a weird one, but obviously you guys know I haven't been drinking alcohol this month. And it was just like a November thing. But I just feel like a different person. I feel like I wake up every morning like Mac, like I just have so much gratitude. And like I've got my fingers in a lot of pies at the minute, like working with you guys. I've got some other projects going on. I'm like adding people to my team on my business. Like I just literally the same. Like I just wake up every day like boom, let's go get it. And I think a lot of that is tied to like not drinking. Not like but anything against drinking. Like I actually love drinking. I love a good drink. But for me, like I just was like, I feel like it's easier to say I'm not drinking than it's to say I'm not drinking as much.
Yeah.
Like if it's just a bog standard, I'm not drinking. Everyone's like, okay, she's not drinking. So I decided to carry it on through December, and I don't know, I just feel like so much better in everything.
Can I ask something about that? Because you actually you put something up on your story earlier, which I actually really liked, or it might be on Facebook or whatever. But obviously, like, so we're filming this in London right now. We said we'll all meet up, maybe go for food, that type of thing. And last month, me and Ben obviously are encouraging Sky to come for a drink afterwards. We're like, yeah, we're gonna go drink, drink. And Sky was just like, oh yeah, we'll see. But just that kind of bantery behaviour, we were kind of like, no, we'll drink. Whereas actually, one of the things that you said was, I think was really interesting. I think all of us need to like pay attention to our behaviour sometimes. You're like, you shouldn't have to justify not doing it. Mm-hmm. You know, you should never. I know people who've stopped drinking and then they'll go buy a lemonade when they're at the bar purely because they just don't want people to bother people buy it. And people should not mind their own business, but sometimes you shouldn't have to explain yourself. And it's something that's benefiting you. I think that's absolutely amazing.
It works with anything. Like you have to just be confident and firm with what you're doing. And it's the same as like if you don't want to eat a cake with your friends, like, oh, why do you want a cake? I just don't want a piece of cake. Like I don't want to drink. Why aren't you drinking? I'm just not drinking at the minute. Like we always have to comment on other people's behaviours, and it's so interesting and weird. And I found that they're not difficult to manoeuvre, but it's been like that's been the main thing that's kind of come from me not drinking, is everyone being like, oh, come on. It's like the most socially accepted drug. Like it's like you're weird for not taking it. It's like I just don't want to drink. Like, oh, do you want me to go into it? Like, okay, this and this and this. Like, do you know what I mean? If I actually went into it, people are like, whoa, okay, don't drink.
Very true.
Yeah, but yeah, it is like I've done it myself though. Been like, come on, just a couple. I'm like, well, if I'm not getting bladdered, what's the point? I'll just have a 0 beer. I'm good.
Yeah, you did that to me on the mental health course. Come on, just one shot.
There we go.
Do you know the first thing he said to me? He went, oh, we're doing a podcast. We're going to get you and Matt together, but just don't get Mac pissed. I was like, what? Me? Get Mac pissed?
Yeah.
He was at the bar getting Jaegers before I even finished my talk.
Because of you.
Now the podcast has started.
Just get a shot, just one shot. Just get one shot. Nah, don't want. Just get a shot, honestly, you'll feel fine.
You nailed it though.
I did nail it.
Yeah, Dutch courage too.
Both nailed it. Right, second last question before we come to your last one. And for both of you, what one piece of advice would you give your younger self?
Yeah.
Either you can go first.
I'll go. So I always answer this on podcasts. It would be not to make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions.
Oh,
I'm a very impulsive person, and it's got me into a lot of trouble. So, yeah.
Tattoo.
What's tattoo?
Well, you need to tell them that.
Tell a story now.
I got wreckhead tattooed on my foot.
Stop it.
No.
Show it.
sorry, just
It's
so the audience
covered
can hear
now.
that. Just one more time.
Replace that with sober head now as well.
What did you just say? Sorry.
I lost a bet when I worked abroad, and I got wreckhead tattooed on my foot. It is covered now.
Oh, is it covered then?
Yeah, but Dan does have a picture of it somewhere because he put it in the last podcast that we did. In the video, it flashes up on the screen. I could have died.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can I ask what the bet was?
It was just a drinking game, I think.
So that's why you don't drink.
That is why I don't drink, Danny, because especially when you're raw, because you can get tattoos in whatever state you're in.
Right.
So can you share that quote for us again then? Don't make
temporary decisions based... No.
Don't make permanent decisions.
You say it, Mac. It's your quote now.
It's not my quote.
Don't make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. There we go.
I just
Love
listened
that.
to you.
Oh, thanks.
I was just listening. With intent.
Thinking about what you're going to say
With
next.
intent. Yeah. Now I had my in my ears, and you just made me forget it because I had to repeat
This
yours.
is what you get when you get two people with ADHD on a podcast together.
Yeah. I either have to say it now or it's gone forever. No, I'd probably just tell myself to stop worrying about what I can't control and start focusing on what I can.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Love that, mate. Thank you.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Last question. And it's a simple one. It's an easy one. I'm not going to get you to think too much. Should know it off
Good.
by heart. Where can our listeners find you and follow your journeys, whether that be on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, whatever you might be on, whatever platform you might utilize? Where can our listeners and some viewers, I'm sure, where can they find you in your inspiring journeys?
So I'm just on Instagram.
Yep.
Just spend a lot of time there. So it's at sky, S-K-Y, .elizabeth.coaching. And that's where you'll find me.
Mine's a lot easier than that. Mine's at Mac_Griffiths_. Boom. I will be starting.
Was that underscore boom or
No. No boom. No boom. No boom.
There's no boom. Everyone's like, I can't find him.
Go, please change it to that now.
Can't
boom.
find him.
Matt Griffiths, boom.
I will be uploading to YouTube soon. I just need to start actually making some videos. So, yeah.
Can I say love your videos on Instagram?
Yeah.
Your reels.
Well, I'm going to start making more informative videos for YouTube.
Amplify.
Amplify as well.
We're all on Amplify, are we?
Yeah.
very exciting? Yeah.
So excited. I actually need to start making some content for that as well. I can't just like swear and be a twat like I am on Instagram. I've got to be a little bit more professional now. But
I think it's going to be a challenge.
I mean, that
for all
wouldn't
of us.
stop you, to be honest. Would it?
I don't think it is going to stop me, to be honest. No.
So before we get finished up, we've got an exciting challenge for both of you. Ben, I'm going to let you announce the challenge, and then we're going to think about logistics of how this will work. You're going to both need to stand
You're
up.
looking like you need space.
You're going to need to stand up, and you're going to move, and you're going to need to move the chairs. So, yeah, if you both stand up, if you lift the chairs, and if you move them to the side.
Are we both at the same time or
No,
one at a
separate.
time?
We're going to do them separate. We'll do them separate. And then one of you needs to announce who's going to go first before we tell you what it is.
Ladies first.
Nah, rock, paper,
Ladies
scissors.
first. I'm
Come
a
on.
gentleman.
Oh,
Ladies
can we
first.
just move these?
Ladies first. I'm
Rock,
a gentleman.
paper,
I'm a gentleman.
scissors.
Listen, my mum and dad raised a gentleman. Ladies first.
Nice, guys first.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Sky is going first.
we have our Happy to Health challenge, the head-to-head challenge, okay, where we need you to hold a squat for just a minute.
Have you realised what this guy's wearing?
Oh,
It's fine, it's fine. We'll have a narrow squat. Chair squat.
hold a squat and answer as many quick-fire questions in 1 minute as possible, okay? The number of questions you answer, we will keep a record of, and you will go up on our leaderboard against all the rest of our other guests. And yeah, we'll see how you get on.
Fucking do this.
I will ask you the questions when you're in the squat.
So I need to like squat
It
next to
defeats
my
the
microphone.
purpose.
I've done low bear trivia today. Like, everyone's asking me questions about stuff.
Your mind
like
should be
chair
ready and
squat.
sharp then.
But I'm not a trivia guy. I'm just like, I'm not,
God.
I'll find the answer guy.
the questions aren't designed to trick
Yeah.
you out. Hopefully they are just quick fire questions.
Yeah. Okay, right.
What's the score to be? Who's top of the leaderboard?
It's 13, but we don't know what order we're putting this out in, so also maybe 12, it may be 8. We've no idea.
Forget everything I just said.
Cut that.
This might be the first time we've ever done it. Who knows? Let's find out.
Do I need my microphone?
Yeah, we're going to squat in front of the microphone.
No, I need
Okay,
to go chair squat.
right. Someone get a timer out. I'll get the timer out. Okay, so 60 seconds. As many questions as you can answer. I will do my best to ask them as quick as possible as well. So 3, 2, 1, squat. Go. When was the last time you were drunk?
30th October.
When are you most productive?
In the morning, 6 till 9 a.m.
Who is your inspiration and why?
Ooh. My mum. Because she's beautiful inside and out.
Oh, love it. What's your favourite number and why?
2. Because I'll try anything once, but twice if I like it.
Which subject were you worst at school?
PE.
Which subject were you best at school?
English.
What scares you?
Ooh. Reptiles.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Norway.
Oh, wow. What would you change about yourself?
Impulsivity.
What's something that you know you have to do but you don't like doing?
Brushing my teeth.
What's something that you like doing?
Brushing my hair.
Last one, what's your favourite hobby?
Jiu-jitsu!
Hooray! Well done. 13, well done.
It might
Nice.
be tied with the leader, it might not.
We don't know.
Who knows? Right, I'll let someone else swap, whoever wants to
That
take
was
over
very
there.
impressive. Very
that was
impressive.
really good.
I'll read these out for Mac.
Yes.
He's only right.
Two, I took you
Where should I go from?
Yes, I know. I like pussy, what can I say?
Brilliant. So that was great. That was really good.
Oh, no, none of that. It's not that kind of podcast.
Right, okay. You ready, Mac?
Are we ready, Mac?
We're going to go below parallel, Mac, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you were up here. you were doing this.
Chest squat.
So
The
13
competitiveness.
is the score to beat, and we're going to start in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
What's your favourite colour?
Orange.
What's your favourite cuisine?
Caribbean.
Good answer. What's the first thing you notice about someone when you meet them?
The teeth.
What's the best compliment you could receive?
You got nice teeth.
What's your favourite film?
The Book of Eli.
If you could be any animal, what would it be?
Ooh, a Black Panther.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Confident, outgoing, and kind of introvert as well.
Nice.
I was like 7. What is your best failure?
Be best failure.
Deadlift.
Squat on 200 kilo
When are you at your happiest?
in the morning.
Would you say you're an introvert or an extrovert?
Kind of both.
What is your favourite alcoholic beverage?
Brandy.
What is the one thing you need to improve at?
Communication.
Time. Well done. How many was that?
That was
12. Oh, no.
12. Wait, 1. 13.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
Well done.
Yeah, so we haven't prepared for what to do in the event of a tie break, so
We're all winners.
we're all
Shared
winners.
spoils.
We're all winners.
Yeah, the prize was bragging rights. So you basically just brag to each other that you're both as good as each other.
We're sick, man.
Well done. Brilliant. Okay, we'll get ready to wrap up there. So a massive thank you to everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Thanks for having us. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for
thank you.
joining
We
us.
actually managed to keep that quite
Condensed.
contained, yeah, considering what could have went wrong. But
What are you trying to say?
we'll go off and we'll do that now.
Feel personally attacked.
So yeah, can I just say a big thank you on behalf of me, Ben, and Danny, to Sky and Mac. Thank you for coming along, guys. Yeah, and it's amazing for us to be working alongside you guys and seeing everything that you're doing. So a big thank you for everything that you've done for us as well.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having us.
And thanks for listening, everyone. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening. We really hope that you enjoyed that. As always, we really want your support. So please, if you found this beneficial, share it with friends, share it with a family member, share it to your social media, and do not forget to tag us at the Happy to Health podcast. And we will really look forward to seeing you at the next episode.